What's up, guys? Nostalgia Girl back here with another movie review. Doing one a little different than what I normally watch. New Year's Eve came and went, and instead of going out partying and whatnot, I actually went to the movie theaters with my wife, and we checked out La La Land, which is one of the most Oscar buzzy films going on out there right now. And it's definitely an interesting film, and I had a few thoughts. I waited a few days to actually do this review just to kind of let things set in a little bit with this movie because this is definitely one that I wanted to think about a little bit. So anyway, it's a Damien Chazelle, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm not 100% sure, but it's his latest film. He is the director of Whiplash, which was a big Oscar buzzy film a few years ago. And this was actually one that he wrote in 2010 and wanted to make, but had to wait until Whiplash was done before he could get somebody to help him make it. So, with this film, it's a callback to romantic musicals and comedies and whatnot from like the 60s and kind of, like the iconic time of when musicals were just huge in the film industry. And it stars Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone. And first off, I want to say that in terms of how this film is shot and to reflect that romantic musical comedy drama era, it does an awesome job. It was shot in Cinescope, and the entire time it's like, yeah, like you're back in that time frame. So in terms of cinematically speaking, with this film, great film for that. If you like just some awesome, beautifully shot scenes, this is definitely a film that you're going to enjoy from that perspective. However, in terms of a film that is garnering all of these nominations, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Screenplay, Best Original Score, Best Original Song, I think we need to pump the brakes a little bit on this. I won't argue really for original score, best original song. It certainly has some decent songs in it. So I'm not going to argue that. I'm not a musician type person. I don't talk about music a ton. Um, so to me, like that, if they want to go for it, that's fine. But best screenplay, best movie, even best actor and actress, I kind of think is a stretch with this film. Um, some of the biggest problems I had with it was that it just, while it was a throwback film, it just didn't really do a whole lot in terms of adding something new to it. Like, it very much was just reminiscent of all those other films. It didn't do anything to make itself original or stand out. What I will say about the songs, I guess, is like outside of the main kind of theme song that they had throughout that Gosling plays towards the end and at the beginning and everything like that. Like that song was memorable. That kind of sticks in my head a little bit. But every other song in this, like, just it didn't really pop. Nothing really happened with it for me. And I think that's something that's key when you're talking about these musicals, especially some of like the classic ones. Like I know Singing in the Rain was one that was mentioned about it with this film, and just none of them really felt right. Like there's just something about them. It just didn't really resonate, and it didn't stick in your head. Like a few years ago, we went and saw Into the Woods around this time, and that was one that the movie itself was not very good, but some of the songs stuck in your head, and you're like, hey, that was memorable. Like at least like that, they did something with it. All of the songs in this film just nothing. But the cinematography did some things with it, but the songs themselves just didn't really hit with me. They did a really good job going back to the cinematography with a lot of these scenes, making it all look like one single shot. My wife was convinced that a lot of these were single shots, but being in the film industry, I explained to her, no, it's like when they would do these big pans and stuff like that. Like that's where the edits were taking place, but they still did a good job of making it feel like one whole shot, like it certainly did. So they did a really good job with that. And there was also one of the dance numbers, or the musicals, was at a party, and they had just this really cool, continuous shot. And they go into the water, and then it's like you could tell that it was like a different type of camera, but like it was just in the water, and there's a shot going around looking at the party and stuff. Like that type of stuff was really great with the film. But the script, just everything about it was just kind of meh. Like you knew what was going to happen throughout the entire film. The whole entire thing was just so predictable. And with the two main characters, Mia and Sebastian, Stone and Gosling, you just didn't really care a whole lot for them. I mean, they didn't do anything that made you like feel sympathy towards them. Emma Stone's an actress, and you see all the typical things that you see about how she's struggling. Oh, she spilled coffee on herself. She just can't get apart. Type thing. And Sebastian is a jazz musician that wants to own his own club, and he hates what all the new music is doing, and he's a traditionalist with the jazz. But they meet and they fall in love, through random coincidence and blah blah blah. And ultimately, their relationship, can't go any further because of where their careers has taken them. Um, yeah, it was just very predictable. There's a lot of scenes that like as soon as like the scene started, I was like, this is what's gonna happen, and boom, it would happen. So that was disappointing. But at the same time, a lot of films that are like that are the ones that get the Oscar buzz. Unfortunately, because they keep it simple. Being original is not necessarily the best thing for an Oscar film. So that's where the actors and actresses throughout the film, they do a good job with what they're given, but there's just not a whole lot to do with it. Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling were not the original leads. I believe it was Miles Teller and Emma Watson that were going to. So it does make me wonder to some extent if they could have added something different to this. Of course, Gosling and Stone, they already have a good rapport with each other, and when they're acting they do fine, but they don't come from a background really of song and dance. They have some experience in it, but you can just tell like it doesn't quite work for them. They don't feel comfortable with it. They do have kind of their first song together, like they do kind of have kind of a nice little throwback dance back and forth, and like I hadn't quite lost my interest in the movie at that point. Like I was still kind of like, okay, they're kind of doing a slow build or whatever, but Gosling just clearly doesn't have the chops to really be a good singer. I mean, he's not like Pierce Bronson and Mamma Mia bad, but just clearly kind of lacking that charisma that you would maybe see in these older musicals from your lead. And Emma Stone, she does what she can with it. She's again, like there's not a whole lot when they're doing that. But they're also not given a ton to do as well. So um, yeah, I mean, ultimately, this movie is just a very safe movie. And that's why I think that like it just doesn't really hold together. And then at the end, there's a nice little fake out ending type situation. And as a whole, like this movie is just, if you just like a very safe, basic romance type movie that has some songs thrown in it, this is going to be for you. Um, if you're someone like me that you look for something like a good, like you don't just look for simply, okay, this is just a solid storytelling, I know everything that's going to happen, but it's still a solid story. You want to see that extra bit in there that's like, yeah, that's going to make me go back and watch it again, that was an interesting twist, or that there was an interesting thing there. It's not going to be for you. I mean, most of the dialogue is even just kind of there's a few jokes thrown in there that are kind of funny. You get a little chuckle, but I mean, really, there's not a whole lot to come back to this movie. So, obviously, with La La Land, I mean, normally I would say, is it worth your nostalgic time? Blah blah blah. This is a movie because it's supposed to be a throwback to those '60s musicals. I can use that, I guess, because of the type of movie it is. But personally, for me, I would say no. And I know, I'm going to catch probably a lot of heat for that, especially again with the Oscar buzz and whatnot. And but I don't know. It feels too safe and it doesn't do a whole lot. The songs aren't memorable. The actors are just okay at their roles, but the cinematography is awesome. I will say that again. The cinematography definitely probably deserves at least a nomination. I don't know what else is it's going to be going up against. So, but definitely at least worth something for that, for sure. So, anyway, have you guys went out and checked out La La Land? What are your thoughts? Do you agree that it deserves all the Oscar buzz, or if you're like me and you're more like, it was just an okay throwback movie, but it didn't really do a whole lot? Please let me know in the comments below. As always, like and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll talk to you guys next time.